Tinsel and lights adorn the tree. A season of joy, wild and free.
I am super excited to share with you today how I made this adorable baseball Christmas tree. This was my first go at it, and I couldn't be happier at how it turned out. I am starting off with this foam round I found at Michael's. I gave the task to my 9-year-old son to find some baseballs that he was not sad to part with, since these would not be returned to him when I am done with them. So he went and grabbed me a bunch of baseballs, and the dirtier the better for this. I like the rusticy look of an old, worn, used baseball. So that's what we're going with here. And I am starting with seeing how many I will need to fill out this round. I am taking the balls that are a little bit cleaner, because some are cleaner than others, and I'm going to just try to almost create like a pattern so that all the dirtier ones were not all together, and the ones that weren't quite as dirty were, chunked together as well. I try to make kind of an every other sort of pattern. Once I get the baseballs positioned for the first base layer, I make sure that they are all facing the same way. So they are all facing with laces facing up and down, kind of in a horizontal manner. And then I am taking some E6000 along with some hot glue, and I am just going to go one by one and glue them down to this foam round. Now, I actually left the clear plastic on the foam round. I did it on purpose. That way, sometimes when you touch them, and especially this is going to be a weighty piece, I didn't want the foam falling off. Or I should say shedding, kind of when you're touching it and picking it up from the bottom. So I am doing both here so that the hot glue will help it to adhere a little quicker, whereas the E6000 needs some time to bond and keep it in one place. So once I get all of these baseballs glued down for this first layer, I'm going to go ahead and start my second layer. Now at this point, I wasn't sure how many layers I was going to make, but I am putting some hot glue in between each to just make sure that they're secure enough for me to go ahead and put on that second row of baseballs. So I'm just going to take my baseballs and see how I'm going to position them. I wanted them to be kind of staggered. I didn't want them to be one on top of the other. So I am doing the same thing that I did with the first layer, just going to be doing E6000 as well as hot glue for all the baseballs over in this second row. This has been a project I've been wanting to do for a while now. We are a big baseball family, and when I've seen this over the years, I just thought it was the cutest thing. Honestly, wasn't really sure how I was going to do it. I just really didn't understand how the balls would all stay together to form a tree. But I gotta say, the E6000 definitely works, and you'll see a little bit later on in the video, I actually run out of it, and I have to use some of my Gorilla Glue. It's kind of a construction cement, which is a little messier to work with. So going forward, when I make this again, I will definitely get myself a new tube of E6000 because it worked like a charm. Now we finished the second layer of baseballs. That was 5 baseballs, as you can see. And now we're going to go ahead with the third row. And this is where it started to get a little bit tricky. The baseballs didn't want to stay in place for me as I was trying to kind of figure out how many I wanted, and things got a little wonky. At the end, it does seem that the balls are kind of more towards one side than the other, but it's totally okay because we're going to go ahead and fix that with all this greenery coming up. So once we got all our baseballs in place, I purchased these stems from Michael's. I purchased 2 stems, and they are just these snowy berry pine cone beautiful stems, and they worked perfectly for this. I was so happy that I chose these. And what I'm going to do is just clip off piece by piece, and I'm going to go ahead and hot glue these smaller stems that I got from the larger stem into the tree. And the hot glue here works like a charm. There is nothing else necessary. You're just going to go through a lot of hot glue. I was going through a lot of glue sticks, but it is well worth it. So I wanted to kind of cover this foam piece as much as I could with some greenery. So I went ahead with the same type of greenery all around this first row here. And then you're going to see it's basically a puzzle. And anywhere there is a hole, anywhere there is a gap, I am going to fill in piece by cutting off random pieces from the stems and placing them as I see fit. Truly, as you can see, even as I'm turning here, the balls were not completely, centered, and that's okay because, like I said, when you put the greenery in, you can kind of see which side needs a little bit more, which side needs a little bit left, and it's just playing around and eyeballing it and seeing how everything kind of fits together. But I'm using wire cutters here to cut these stems. These were some pretty hefty stems, so they needed more than a scissor or even a garden. Sometimes I use my garden clippers, but I'm using these wire cutters here that worked like a charm. And these stems have little tiny pine cones connected to them. So on some of them I needed to undo the pine cone, and as you can see there, I took the pine cone that I had taken off and kind of used them to join two separate stems together and then hot glued them into place. You can see where I started using that Gorilla construction glue. It's kind of goopy and falling down, and it works like a charm too as far as holding the baseballs together in place, but it just makes definitely more of a mess, which we're going to go ahead and cover up with the greenery. But I do recommend just using the E6000 because the bottom two layers were perfect, and that dries clear, so you don't even have to worry about any rundown with that. I am going to be twirling this around as I go, just fitting in the berries and the pine cones, and wherever I needed a little extra greenery due to the glue showing or a hole showing, I just go ahead and poke my stems right in there. And this was the fun part for me. I really enjoyed doing this. I love creating. I absolutely love crafting, and anything that I can gift or use in my own home just makes me over the moon and so happy. And that's why I was super excited with how this turned out. It turned out so well. This was a gift we were giving some friends of ours, but I am absolutely making one of these for our own family. And I've gotten a couple of requests to make some for some more friends and family. So that is always super fun when I can create something that everyone just loves and appreciates the time it took into it to make it look so adorable. And here it is all done up. I let it sit overnight just to make sure that glue really bonded and these baseballs were not going anywhere. And it just looks so cute. If you have any questions as to how I did this baseball tree that I didn't answer clearly, please don't hesitate to comment below. I'd love to hear from you. This was a project I was a little hesitant on, wasn't sure how it was going to go, but man, am I happy that I tried it, and I love the result. I hope you and your loved ones had a very happy Thanksgiving, and thanks so much for watching.
'Cause all I want for Christmas is you, just you. There's nothing more in this world I'd rather do than hold you close and never let go. Oh, darling, all I want for Christmas is you, you baby. Oh, baby. I don't need to make a wish upon a shining star or wait for holiday magic. No matter